I, oops. Okay, and Dale actually is our county auditor, and he's served as such for the last 9 years. He's both the Nueces County Auditor and the Budget Officer, and he's also a CPA. In counties with a population of more than 225,000, the county auditor serves as the budget officer for Commissioners Court. However, Commissioners Court in counties with more than 125,000, they can alternatively establish a budget office and appoint a county budget officer to prepare the budget. Every member of the county auditor staff assists in the preparation of the audit of the annual budget. My name is Lisa Davis, and I am the one and only budget accountant. I'll be your best contact for assistance in all things budget, how to properly prepare and submit your budget requests, personnel requests, capital and non-capital outlay requests, budget change orders, budget transfers, everything to do with budget. I'm your best contact. I can also assist you or your staff with determining proper coding for expenses and analyzing budget revenue and expenses as well as trends. Harry Horak and Julian Mendoza are our IT pros, and they're your first contact to get access to any of our accounting software. We use one solution for our financial software, and OpenGov is our budgeting software. They can also help you troubleshoot problems using this software, and they are available to train you and your staff on how to utilize the software to complete any tasks, and they can also create reports. Can you please make sure that you're muted? All right, thank you. Benjamin Avalos is a familiar name to some of you who have been with the county for a while. He retired about 3 years ago, and he just recently returned, but to a different position. He is our accountant now. He's extremely knowledgeable of all things that have to do with one solution. We were just starting to implement OpenGov budgeting software when he originally retired, so this will be his first year using the OpenGov software. Cale Brown is a member to our team that started earlier this year, and he has hit the ground running. He'll be your contact for information regarding special motions and can assist with accounts payable questions. If you did have any other accounts payable questions regarding payment after the invoice has been received in one solution, you can always submit your question via email to accounts.payable@nuecesco.com. Elba Fuentes is the supervisor of internal audit. She knows so much about so much. She's a wealth of knowledge. If your department routinely collects revenue, then you will probably be required to submit a monthly report to Elva and her internal audit staff, and they will be able to assist you with what's required to be submitted. Lucio Cruz is our revenue cash manager, and he can assist and help with revenue questions. He works closely with Treasury. If you have any payroll questions, please email payroll.ao@nuecesco.com. And if you need help with something that I haven't touched, please contact Sabra Robinson, our administrative assistant. She is super helpful and can probably direct you to whomever you need to get to. Okay, the agenda's lengthy, but it's going to go fast. Maybe not. First, I'm going to go through the PowerPoint to show you the different parts of OpenGov. Then we're going to practice working in a request and navigating through OpenGov, after which we're going to go through the personnel request using the PDF form. And lastly, I'll go over some additional helpful information. So there's some terminology that's unique to the OpenGov Budget Builder. A budget instance, there are multiple proposals within a budget instance. The budget instance would be similar to our budget year. Proposal, every budget department number has a single proposal. Some of you might be preparing multiple budget proposals. like public works that includes roads and bridges, engineering, as well as most of the county buildings. And others might just have a single department, like each of the Justice of the Peace offices. Worksheet. Most budgeted department numbers will see worksheets in OpenGov, an operating budget worksheet and a capital and non-capital outlay worksheet. Account strings. The chart of accounts refers to the chart of accounts within OpenGov, which does vary from the chart of accounts that the county uses. It is for this reason that our department creates the templates for each of the requests for you. Base budget. The starting point for the 22-23 budget year. Even though Commissioners Court is starting with the 21-22 adopted budget as the base budget, it does not mean that you are assured of receiving the same funding for the upcoming 22-23 year. Every budget category and line item will be reviewed. Additions and/or subtractions may result after determining the availability of funds. Okay, OpenGov is a cloud-based platform that Nueces County utilizes to submit operating and capital outlay budget requests. It is exclusively for the use of the public sector, which are schools, local and state governments, including the budgeting and planning software that we're going to be utilizing, as well as reporting, communications, and performance software. The budget adoption process. So your budget request is due no later than Friday, May 6th. That's 2 Fridays from now. Departments will have the opportunity to meet with the Commissioners Court to discuss any of their requests if they would like, but this year they will not be mandatory. If you would like to schedule a request to meet with Commissioners Court, those dates are going to be June 6th and 7th and June 9th and 10th. And you would need to call Teresa McLemore in Commissioners Court Administration to schedule a departmental briefing with Commissioners Court. Those budget workshops are going to continue all the way from June 6th through August. At the end of July, we calculate the tax rates. The proposed budget is filed with the county clerk on Friday, September 2nd, and it will be available at that time online under the county auditor's link. The meeting to adopt both the tax rate and the budget will be Wednesday, September 7th this year. Okay, so let's jump in. Hopefully you've all already been able to log into OpenGov, but if you haven't for some reason, here's the link that you'll have that you'll be able to get to that login. Or you can always go to opengov.com, click log in, and that'll take you to this same screen. If you can't log in or you've forgotten your password, you just click this little button right here for forgot password. Once in, you click the budgets button, and then you scroll down to the department number and department that you would like to work on. OpenGov recommends using Google Chrome as your browser when utilizing their software. If you do not have access to Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox is the next best option. If you're having issues in the software and it's not working, it's most likely because you're using Internet Explorer browser. It does not like the Microsoft browsers. I don't know why it doesn't. I know that I personally have forgotten and opened it in Microsoft Explorer, and it has bugs. It won't work. It won't let you type something in. There's issues. So it's better to use Google Chrome or Mozilla. If you don't have either of those softwares on your computer already, you can contact IT, and they will be able to add those software for you. Okay, so whenever you log in, again, I said you were going to come over here to the budget button, And once there, you're going to click on your department. That's going to bring you to the proposals details screen. New for the 22-23 budget year, the required goals and performance measures are gone. We're no longer requiring that you provide us a short-term, a long-term goal, or a performance measure. Those were requirements for GFOA. Due to personnel constraints, we're no longer going to be able to submit for the GFOA budget award, and so we're no longer requiring that, at least for this year. If this department, your department, is not going to be requesting any changes for the 22-23 budget year to either the operating budget, the capital or non-capital outlay, or personnel changes, please let us know by typing that in this field before submitting your request, so that we have something letting us know that no, you didn't accidentally miss that worksheet. Intentionally, we're leaving it blank. This is also a great spot for you to enter those auditor-controlled items. Auditor-controlled budgets are those budgetary items that are included in your adopted budget, but are not included in your budget request. Those items include your postage, fuel, electricity, the RICO leased copiers, the contractual leased vehicles with Enterprise, the building and space rent, insurance, interlocal agreements, capital leases. If you want a percentage increase in any of those just for routine fluctuations of cost, you don't need to let us know. We already adjust those as needed to meet your demands. We only need you to tell us about any new services or new requests for an increase or a decrease due to the change in service, and you're adding something new, a new service that you haven't had before, and that's going to require an additional cost in one of those items. To request an increase in the leased vehicle fleet, there's going to be additional information later on about that, and then also it'll be in the written instructions that you'll be provided. Any new utilities that will be activated and funded from within this department, or any new utilities that will be activated and funded within another department. For instance, if the medical examiner were to get a new electrical pole put up outside their building, that wouldn't be funded through the medical examiner's office in 3890. It would be funded through the building fund, and so that would be under Public Works. So they would need to let us know that here in this box so that we can be sure to adequately budget for such increases in the Public Works budget. You would also let us know about any other changes for budgets that are controlled by other departments. This would include items that you're wanting to request, but those items are budgeted under another department, such as buildings and facilities, maintenance and repair enhancements, and new computer software enhancements for existing software that's currently paid out of another department. So for instance, if you're wanting to reconfigure the layout of your department here at the county courthouse, you would need to call Public Works, let them know of your intention that you want to reconfigure your department, and so that they're able to submit that in their budget request. And you would also want to include it here in this box so that our office and Commissioner's Court would be aware of your request as well. Now, please be sure to keep in mind that both Public Works, IT, and any other departments would need to be notified of your request as soon as possible so that they can include your request in their 22-23 budget. Just remember that the budget request is due the same date your request is. So you'll need to contact them as soon as possible to find out what you need to provide them so that you can have this included in their budget request. If there's any new services or requirements that are due to unfunded mandates, which are new activities, services, or requirements that have no new source of revenue, but are required by the state, you would need to let us know of those and any new services, functions, or benefits that will be added to your existing operations within a department. Hold on just a second. I'm going to get a drink real quick. Also, in this same screen, you're going to see the supporting documents at the bottom. You use the Add Document button to attach proposals, quotes, contracts, pictures, charts, tables, budget notes, budget scenarios, lengthy justifications for budget requests or personnel requests, and any other narrative that you create or obtain that provides additional information regarding your budget. All of those documents will be downloaded and forwarded to the commissioners for review. Documents that are added, they follow the same, my light, it went out. I didn't move long enough. They follow the same process that is used to attach files to emails. Okay, so at the top of the screen, next to the the proposal details tab is the expenses tab. You just click that tab to move to the expense worksheet. Once in the expense worksheet, you can select either capital outlay or operating. Please note that not all budget requests will have a capital outlay worksheet. Okay, we're going to go through the worksheet overview real quick. All right, so this is the account string. The account names may be familiar to you as they correspond with the budget categories and line item budgets that we have historically used when preparing the budget requests and budget change orders. The reference years include the historical data for the 1920 actuals, the 1920 budget, the 2021 actuals, and the 2020-2021 budget. If you need to see your actual expenses to date for the 21-22 budget year that we're currently in, please run a budget to actual report in one solution. If you need assistance accessing this report, there should already be someone in your staff, possibly the employee that prepares your department's budget change orders or the employee that creates requisitions, that already has access to and knows how to run a budget to actual report in one solution. If you do not currently have a designated staff member with access to one solution for entering requisitions or running reports, please contact either Harry or Julian to authorize one or more employees to have access to one solution. Harry, Julian, and myself can also provide you on training on how to run reports, such as budget to actual reports, in one solution for those designated staff members. The base budget. As previously stated, the base budget for the upcoming 22-23 budget year is the adopted 21-22 budget. In the adjustment to budget, this is where you're going to enter a requested increase or decrease in the adjustments to the budget column. An increase is reflected as a positive amount and a decrease is shown as a negative amount. The worksheet overview. The proposed budget is a calculation. It's the base budget plus or minus your adjustment equals your requested 22-23 budget. This is your new total requested budget right here. The types of adjustments. Oops, there we go. There are 4 different types of adjustments that you can do in OpenGov. You can do an amount, which is reflected with the $sign. That's an increase or decrease as a number based that is added to or taken away from the base budget figure. There's an amount. Again, it's an increase or a percent, excuse me. Again, it's an increase, decrease as a percentage from the base budget figure. There is 0. What that does is it replaces the base budget figure with 0. I would highly recommend avoiding this option. Then there is replace. Replace replaces the base budget figure with the number that is entered. The itemization, if you choose to use it, by default uses the replace making bulk adjustments. At the very top of the budget worksheet, there's a drop-down list where you can enter a bulk adjustment. This is primarily used by the auditor's office for hypothetical scenarios. However, if we were to ever have another across-the-board budget cut, like we did 4 years ago, you could use this box at the top to see what a 3% decrease of operating budget would look like. Now, keep in mind, the previous across-the-board cut was a 2.67% cut of your entire budget, whereas this would only reflect a reduction to the operating budget. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some examples of how you would make the adjustment. So if you look here, you'll notice that I've already entered a decrease of $1,000. My base budget was $18,000. The decrease of $1,000 is then reflected again as an adjustment of a decrease of $1,000. Then you can see that it shows a total change of a decrease of 6%, making the proposed budget over here $17,000. If I were to click the plus to the right of the line item to add additional line items, this will be changed, which I've done right here. After I've clicked the plus button 3 times, 3 additional itemization lines are added. Please note that the $ amount has now changed to be the X, which means replace. The $1,000 that I had previously shown as a reduction here has already been added and reduced from the base budget here. So my ending proposed budget is currently reflecting what I had previously reflected prior to itemizing the budget. On the far right, after the description field is the actions column. The trash can icon will only appear after the itemization lines have been added. Click the trash can button to remove the extra lines for itemization. Okay, so now we're going to do an example of an adjustment. I'm going to show you 2 different ones right here. Okay, so in this example, the department has a base budget of $8,500 for temporary employees budgeted. So when I added a line itemization, that first line item automatically becomes the base budget. I simply went over to the description field adjacent to the base budget and typed in base budget, so that the base budget is still reflected in the request. I then went in to enter a request for a year-round temporary, a budget assistant. Our full-time budget assistant is currently budgeted at a 25A01, at a 25 on pay schedule A, a 25 step 1, which is $23.10 an hour. Temporaries can only make 90% of the pay of their full-time equivalent. Therefore, 90% of the $23.10 an hour becomes $20.79 an hour. However, all employees, including temporaries, must be paid at an hourly rate that is on the current pay schedule. The closest pay group to the hourly rate of $20.79 an hour is pay schedule A, pay group 23, step 1, at an hourly rate of $20.60. Temporaries cannot work more than 29 hours per week. Therefore, I am requesting a year-round temporary budget assistant at a $23.01, which is $20.60 per hour, times 29 hours per week to reach a weekly pay of $597.40. Then I multiply that by 52 weeks in the year, which brings me to $31,064.80. Nueces County, as a policy, does not budget change, so all requests will need to be rounded to their nearest whole dollar. So the amount reflected in my budget request is then $31,065. I will also be requesting a temporary budget assistant that will be seasonal, and they're only going to work during the busy spring, early summer budget season, using the same title and therefore the same position for a full-time equivalent at $25.01 at $23.10 an hour. The 90% equivalent stays the same, and therefore I will continue to use the $23.01 at $20.60 per hour for 29 hours a week for the 3 months during my busy season, which is April 1st through June 30th. That's 13 weeks at $597.40 per week for a total of $7,766, which we rounded down to $7,766. You can see here that I've also requested an increase for the telephone and utilities. We're requesting a new cell phone for our new accounts payable supervisor. The cell phone request is rounded up to $50 per month. At $50 per month, the annualized cost becomes $600 a year. Again, I could have added 2 lines to the request, but the first line I would need to keep with the base budget so that I did not lose my $5,840 currently budgeted. The second line would then become the $600 increase, but it's much easier to just enter the one item that I'm requesting as a single amount right here. You would only want to use the itemization whenever you're requesting multiple items for the same budget category. It is always a good idea to show your per item, per month, per hour charge in the description so that anyone reviewing the request will easily see how the amount was calculated. You will notice that the first line of my itemization became gray. That gray field now indicates that that's in a calculated amount, and it's calculation of adding those 3 items together. Budget request descriptions. Creating a description for your budget adjustment can often be difficult, but next to entering the amount correctly, it's the second most important part of a department's budget request. Please do not use a vendor's item number, such as ABC123, to describe the item you're requesting, because no one else looking at your budget request besides you and that vendor will know what a 123 ABC is or ABC123. Please provide a generalized description, typically a noun, to describe what you are requesting. For example, gun, computer, software license, virtual training. You get the point here. It should be something to where anybody coming in and reading that noun understands clearly what you're trying to do. If you would like to, you're more than welcome to include make, model, specifications, or attach a quote to provide more information as to what specifically you want. But so that everybody can easily understand your request, we ask for you to use a generalized noun. But just like you don't want to be too specific, you don't want to be too vague either, because providing a generalized description only is less effective, and an extremely generalized description is less effective and therefore less likely to be approved. Requesting $10,000 with the description general office supplies isn't a good description because it doesn't sound like you have an actual specified need. It sounds like you're just wanting to increase your budget in case you need an extra $10,000. So you need to provide enough specific information to help Commissioners Court understand what it is that you need. Please be clear and concise so that anyone could easily understand what you're wanting to purchase. Briefly explain why this request is needed. If you have a quote or a bid, reference that quote or a bid, and please realize that obtaining a quote or a bid during the budgeting process does not negate you or allow you to circumvent the purchasing process. If the request is approved, your department must still follow the standard approved purchasing policy procedures as well as the Purchasing Act. At the top, after the adjustments have been made, you can see that the adjusted amount is now increased to reflect the total amount of the operating budget requested. Also, the percentage has changed so that you can see the total percentage increase. And then the last column, right before the descriptions, it shows you the new revised budget request for the 22-23 budget year. Just a second. Budget request. If you're missing a budget category or a line item that you think should be on your worksheet and isn't, simply contact the County Auditor's Office, either Julian, Harry, or myself, and ask to have the missing category or line item added to your budget request. It literally takes about a minute, and it'll be updated automatically. If you click this reset button here, a drop-down will pop up. You can choose to reset amounts or reset column configurations. Please note that reset amounts is a nuclear option. Everything on the request that you currently have is deleted, and it's brought back to how it was before anything was ever entered into your budget request. It's all gone, it's permanently deleted, and it cannot be retrieved. So please avoid the reset button unless you really want to completely wipe your entire request. Capital outlay, exception list items and non-capital outlay. Every year, every department begins with a $0 capital outlay, exception list, and non-capital outlay request. These requests do not carry forward from year to year. Even if you've requested the same thing every year for the last 10 years, you need to request the item again in order for it to be included in the budget request. What is capital outlay? Capital outlay are those large purchases of items that cost over $5,000. Those large purchases include land, buildings, infrastructure, property, equipment, and heavy machinery. Vehicles are now leased, and any increase to the fleet size needs to be shown on the proposal details tab as a request for an increase to the fleet for a new vehicle. If you need to replace one of your existing county fleet vehicles due to wear and tear, or it's no longer functioning and it's inoperable, you would need to contact Romeo Ramirez in purchasing immediately in order to have your request considered for the 22-23 budget year. Again, if you need to request a vehicle that is not an increase in the fleet, but it's needed to replace another vehicle due to wear and tear, you must contact Romeo Ramirez to get that on the list. Every other vehicle, if it's still roadworthy and still drivable, the vehicles from the county's fleet are being replaced in an order of most or oldest vehicle with most mileage are getting replaced first, and then slowly we'll begin to move the remainder of the county's fleet over to the leased vehicle fleet. I believe that this is our third year in the Enterprise Leased Vehicle Fleet Program. And at the end of this year, we should be approximately halfway through converting all of the vehicles over to the new lease program. What are exception list items? Exception list items are specifically identified items that Commissioners Court has approved to be tagged and tracked like capital outlay, but those items cost less than $5,000. Those items are specifically identified by Commissioners Court to include all-terrain vehicles, body cameras, radios, both handheld, mobile, and portable, riding lawnmowers, trailers requiring licenses, weapons, both guns and tasers. Computers, monitor, and software should only be included when they're purchased at the same time as the computer. Laptops, software should only be included when purchased at the same time as the laptop. Tablets, printers and scanners over $250. Cameras, both digital and video cameras, but not security cameras, and video projectors. So what's in non-capital outlay, less than $5,000? Well, those are the items that cost less than $5,000 that are not on the exception list. Exactly what the name implies. The per unit cost is less than $5,000 and they are not on the exception list. These items are not routine operating supplies and would be difficult for departments to purchase within the constraints of their typical annual budget without additional financial assistance. Revenues. The County Auditor's Office will prepare the revenues budgets for the 22-23. We'll continue to prepare the revenues for the budget 22-23 budget year. However, if you have knowledge that would assist the County Auditor's Department when preparing the revenues budget, please attach the information as a supporting document attachment to the department's budget request. Email the information to budget@nuecesco.com and be sure to CC both lisa.davis@nuecesco.com and dale.ashley@nuecesco.com. You can also use the optional narrative field to document any information in OpenGov that you need to relay. The Activities tab at the top you're able to use to see what modifications were made, who made the modification, and when it was made. OpenGov tracks every adjustment made in the software. As you can see, I was busy late trying to create the examples that we use today for the training class. And it tells you exactly what I entered and where. It also shows any time that I deleted an itemized entry. So you're able to track who made what changes and when. Submitting your budget proposal. OpenGov automatically saves every 3 seconds. If you want to export your proposal to Excel, you simply click the export button that's in the top right corner of the screen. If you want to exit and come back later, you simply click done. And when you're ready for your department head to review, feel free to use the comments feature. You can use the comments feature to also correspond with others that have view only or edit all access. However, please keep in mind that anything you enter here can also be viewed by anyone that has access to this department. And it's also subject to open records requests similar to county emails. Submitting your request. This is completely different from how it was last year. However, y'all are all new users, so it's all new to you. Department heads and designated employees, when you are ready to submit your budget proposal, you simply click the proposal summary right here to expand the box. When it expands, it automatically opens to this first tab, which is the balance tab. It opens there so that you can so that you're sure to know where you're at in your proposal to-do list. Have you added proposal details? Have you adjusted expenses or revenues? Have you submitted your proposal? You want to review this little section right here, not this up here, just this little box right here that's indicated. You want to review your base expenses, your adjustments that you've requested, and your total expenses that you've requested for your budget. If it's accurate, you click the Review tab. Once you click the Review tab, this box opens right here. You then see the Submit button. You click the Submit button to indicate that you have completed your budget request and you are submitting it to the county auditor for review. If you need help, you're more than welcome to contact us or OpenGov support. You can click the Help button on the bottom left. It doesn't look like this anymore, it's just the word Help, but you can click that on the bottom left of the screen or go to the Resource Center, both of which have lots of information that can assist you. Via the Resource Center, OpenGov Customers Training, they have live webinars, OpenGov University, live chats, and user groups to discuss any problems that you might be encountering and see if anyone else has worked out another way to address that problem. How do you log out of one solution? You simply come down here to the little circle with your initials, you click it, this window pops up, you click log out, and you are logged out of one solution. I know that was a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions? You can either raise your hand or unmute. I see nothing. I'm going to give you another second. No? All right. So let's walk through entering the budget request in OpenGov. Now bear with me for just a second because I have to get out of this presentation and come over here to OpenGov. Okay, so if I go to opengov.com, this is where I come to. I come to their main website. All I need to do is click Login to pull up the login screen, but I'm already logged in, so it just brought me here. Look, I have the opportunity to register for a budgeting customers training workshop on Thursday, May 5th. I'm just going to close that out. There's also OpenGov University with on-demand training. I'm going to click Remind Me Later because I might want to come back. All right, once you're logged in, you'll notice that on the left side of the screen, you'll see several buttons. There's the Network button. This allows users to look across the OpenGov network for all users that have made their budgets public. You can search by government name, population, or general fund revenue. With OpenGov, there's no need to reinvent the wheel because you can look at the reports that other users have created and copy them. Reports. This is the basis for everything, and they can be created from both financial and non-financial data. Some of you may have access to upload data for these reports. Data, the data portal, excuse me, hold on. The data is where information is uploaded. Portals is where the public will eventually be able to log in to view the information should we decide to go completely to an online budget. Stories. They allow the user to tell a story about something that is going on, to integrate charts, tables, maps, statistics, and graphics with narratives. They can be published both internally and externally. Both this, the reports, and the portal functions would only be utilized if Nueces County went to an online-only interactive budget instead of the traditional hard copy book with a digital copy of the book as a PDF. Currently, we are not using the data, portal, or stories functions of OpenGov. Whenever you log in, you first go to this budgets button right here, and you click it. Now, I'm logged in as an administrator, so I'm going to see every single department's budget request. You would only be able to see the department's budget requests that you have access to create and edit. Because I have such a long list, I'm going to go ahead and type 1250 so that I pull up the county auditor without having to scroll through all that information. Once you're in the department's request, it takes you to the proposal detail screen every time. Remember, this is where you would let us know if you're not requesting any modifications to the 22-23 budget. You want to enter those items that are, you want to request an increase or a decrease in those items that are auditor-controlled items, such as postage, fuel, electricity, the RICO leased copier, interlocal agreements, if they're not already reflected on your operating request, and building and space rent, again, if not already included on your operating request. You only need to tell us about an increase or a decrease due to a change in service, a request to increase the fleet size, new utilities that will be added to either this department or another department, or newly leased equipment. Enter items that you are requesting for your department, but in another department, but are budgeted in another department, I'm sorry, such as buildings, maintenance, and repair, that again is budgeted by Juan Pimentel in the Facilities Department. This is also where you go to click the Add Documents button to upload, and it tells you right here the different file types that are supported with the uploads. I'm next going, if you come over here to proposal tours, it'll give you a tour of everything that's on this tab, so it helps you remember in case you forgot. Okay, so I'm going to start with the operating budget. So I'm going to click operating right here. And I'm going to scroll over here. Now, you will not have access to see this at the bottom. This is where we come in and we add that new line item if you needed it. Y'all don't have access to that. Okay, remember before, whenever I had the temporary employee that I added, you can see the total right here of $47,331. But in order to see that itemization, you see this little arrow right here, you click it, And that shows you each one of the 3 lines that I added. Now, you'll recall that the first line is your base budget. If you don't have a base budget, it'll just be 0. Your second line is where you're going to start showing your itemizations on your second, third, fourth line. Okay, so using my department as the guinea pig again, I'm going to come over here to software, service, and maintenance, and I'm going to add lines. So right here, I'm going to click the plus, and you can see that the base budget is now on the first line item. I need to be sure to not write over that and come over here and type base budget, so I know that that's what I started with. Then I click another plus to get an additional line after the base budget. I'm actually going to get a couple more lines. Oh. Okay, so on my first line, I'm going to do a 3% increase for computer software. I can do right here, change this to $11,370. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, $11,370, and type 3% increase of one solution financial, I can't spell, financial, I still spelled it wrong. There's an extra A right there. Okay. Accounting software. Now, I can't expect that the commissioners are going to know what one solution would be, which is why I added the description, financial accounting software, because though they may not realize that one solution is the county's financial accounting software, they do know that we have financial accounting software. The next, oh, you can also up here adjust the size so you're able to see everything on the one screen. Next, I'm going to enter a $2,000 executime contract increase. Again, I can't expect anybody to know what executime is. So this is our timekeeping software known contractual increase. If you know when that contractual increase was approved by Commissioners Court, you could always put approved by Commissioners Court on 04/01/2020. Let's say that this extra line that I have here, I don't need it. I was able to get everything in those two. I just hit the little trash can and it goes away. Okay, does anybody have any questions about how you enter something in? Oh, I guess I could come up here and show you. If I wanted to do a percentage change to everything, I would enter it here. And again, this reset button would clear everything that I've already keyed into OneSolution, or OpenGov, excuse me. All right, I'm going to click Done, and then I'm going to come over to our capital outlay. You do not need to enter any of the computers that are due to be upgraded because the warranty has expired. You could contact IT to determine which computers in your office are up to be replaced due to their warranty being expired, and they can tell you which of those computers in your office are going to be replaced. If you need another computer, not necessarily because you're replacing it because the warranty expired, but let's say that you've requested a new position and that new position requires a computer to use, you would include that request here. So I'm going to add the plus. Let's say that I'm requesting a new position. After this training, there will be a frequently requested capital outlay and exception list costs that are provided to you. On that list, it tells me that a standard laptop computer with one monitor and one dock is $2,300. And an additional monitor is $250. So I want to request 2,000. It helps if I click in the button. 2,000. Oh, did you notice how there wasn't anything budgeted there in the capital outlay? My base was 0, so I can type in the first column because it was already 0. Like I said, you started off with the base budget of 0. So I'm going to type the $2,300, and then I'm going to come right here and put laptop with single monitor and docking station. Now, if I wanted to add a second monitor, I would put it there, and I would need to add that $250 here to make it $2,550. If I'm getting an extra monitor for a computer that I'm not purchasing, that would come down here in non-capital outlay. For that same employee that I'm going to request in just a moment, I'm going to go ahead and request furniture. The standard employee desk is $1,000. And the standard office chair, also, both of these are included on the frequently requested items, is $250. So that my employee that I'm going to request, for new position requested, I'm going to write, oh, it helps if I click there. Furniture for new position. And then here I'm going to put chair for new position. A lot of people don't think about the additional costs that you have that are on top of getting the new personnel. So if you're in law enforcement, you need to also include additional costs for their uniform, or Public Works would also have additional costs for the uniform. If you're requesting, I can't think of what else would have additional costs off the top of my head. If you're requesting a new maintenance worker and they get steel-toed boots, you need to request an extra pair of steel-toed boots and an extra maintenance shirt for your uniform. It has to be a required uniform in order for the shirt to be covered. So if it's not something that's required, to have a uniform, a position that's required to have a uniform, then the county will not pay for shirts or attire. And there goes the light again for the third time. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any of this? You can raise your hand or unmute and ask a question. I'm not seeing anything. Does anybody have any questions? All right, we're going to keep going. Okay, I'm going to click done. Actually, I'm going to click reset, and I'm going to reset the amounts like I told you not to do unless you wanted to wipe everything. I have to type reset so you can't accidentally do it. Hit reset, and now my request is back at 0. Like I never requested a thing. I click done. I come over here to my activity, and it shows that I deleted everything that was in capital outlay just a second ago. It also shows all the other entries that I made in the software. And during both trainings, I've made a lot of entries. All right. So again, if you're not requesting anything, please let us know that by typing it in the proposal details tab. And again, there's the proposals tour right here. You can click right here to leave comments. So I can say, Dale, the budget is ready for your review. And hit add comment, and it will automatically send him an email to let him, well, it'll send everybody that works on the budget the same email to let them know that I entered a comment that said, Dale, the budget is ready for your review. It's not, so I'm not going to enter that. Right here, if you have permissions, it'll tell you all the permissions, everyone that has permission and what type of permission they have. If somebody's permissions need to be modified, you would contact Julian or Harry and they can change their permissions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this for right now. And I'm going to come over here to the personnel request. Oh, hold on, I'm going to do the slides first. Let me go back over here. Okay, so everybody should have received an email 2 Fridays ago. I believe it was Friday, April 8th, that for departments that have budgeted positions, there was a supplemental info Excel spreadsheet that looked very similar to this. Here it showed the incumbent's name, and here it showed the projected total income. Do not use this projected total income or look at it and think that that is what their income actually is. This amount includes all of the insurance and benefits that the county pays on their behalf. It is not the correct salary. If you want to see the correct salary for the AP accounting assistant, you would go to Pay Schedule A, Pay Group 18, Step 01, and you would be able to see what the employee right here makes. That pay schedule is on the county's intranet. Both pay schedule A and pay schedule P are on the county's intranet. You can also use the PDF form that we provided in the same email. If you use the drop downs on those, which you have to use whenever you're doing a request, it automatically populates with the correct salary based on the pay schedule and pay group and step that you enter. The personnel request is going to look something like this. To begin, please be sure to enter your department number and name in this blue box at the top of the screen. You need to also enter down here at the very bottom the name of the person that's preparing the request. So here I would type Lisa Davis on behalf of Dale Ashley in the box at the very bottom of the form. For a list of current positions in your department, you utilize this right here. And again, I would only use it for the position name, the incumbent that's currently in that position, the schedule, the pay group, and the step. I wouldn't use it for any of the other information that's on here other than the department name and number. Okay. All right, so whenever you're creating a new position, you want to show the new position as a positive in the number of positions. You want to use the drop-down list to select the pay schedule, the corresponding group, and the corresponding step. Now, this is an old screenshot, so the amounts aren't correct, but back whenever I originally took this screenshot, a senior clerk 2 was at a pay group 1501 on Schedule A, and they made $31,345.60 a year. You can also refer to the pay schedule again to determine if you want to do a reclassification or you want to create a brand new position that doesn't already exist and you want to decide what pay group to put them at. You would need to review the pay schedule because all employees must be paid on the pay schedule. You can't give somebody an amount that's between two different pay groups. It has to be pay group on the schedule and the step 1, unless it's for an existing employee. All new positions will start at a step 1, and they should always be budgeted at a step 1. To reclassify or replace an existing position, what you would do is that you would enter the current existing position as a negative number here, the current pay schedule, group, and step of that position. If this person was currently at a step 5, I would put step 5 here. Senior clerk 1, whatever you populate here will automatically pull up the correct number over here. Again, if I'm reclassifying a position that's already there, you have to use the current step of that position. Whenever you're reclassifying a vacant position, even if the last time the budget book was prepared, there was someone in that position that was at a step 10, you still have to start them off at step 1. All vacant positions always go back to step 1. If you know that the current occupant in that position is retiring and you want to reclassify that position after they retire, you have to go back to step 1. You cannot use the steps of the retiring employee to help offset the cost of reclassifying a new position. Do not reflect any changes or modifications for step increases that will happen in the 22-23 year. So everyone that's scheduled to get a step increase, if you're requesting to reclassify, and I believe that that's everybody that was in the first group. So the people that have been here since we started the current personnel system, this year they're due to become, I believe, a step 7. I'm correct. I'm pretty sure it's a step 7. So if I were wanting to reclassify someone that had been here for 25 years and they're currently at a step 7, or they're currently at a step 6 and they're going to be at a step 7, I would show the reclassification at a step 6, not a step 7. The step 7 is already accounted for. That is something that is that's provided for in the personnel handbook, and so therefore that's a requirement. If you were to show the additional step in this request, it would make your request look like it's costing more than it actually is, which a request that costs more is less likely to get approved. I mean, it just is. So you want your request to be accurate. So in order to keep your request accurate, you need to leave it at the step that the position currently is at. So if I were to request a reclassification for a senior clerk that had been here for 25 years, and they're due to get a step increase this year, I would still show the step as a 3, or as a 6, for both the position that I'm decreasing and the new position that I'm creating. Please be sure to use the official job title by Human Resources. I know that a lot of departments have positions that in order to distinguish this position from another position, they have alternative job titles that they use. I know that the district attorney uses alternative job titles. Whenever you request the position, it needs to be the name that's on that supplemental information, the position title that's here. So even if we had a budget accountant senior and a budget accountant junior, or something else that we used in our office to distinguish, like maybe we have 3 internal auditors that are certified, maybe, or non-certified. Maybe we had this one and this one was called cash audit. This internal auditor was desk audit and this internal auditor was desk audit. But they had a different inter-office job description and title. But as far as human resources is concerned, they're all the same title. Please leave them all the same title in your request so that we're able to tie what you're trying to do. If you need to, you can always put in parentheses after the job title what it is that you call this position. If there's some kind of distinguishing characteristic that y'all have for it, that works too. That way both the request is user-friendly for you whenever you're presenting and us whenever we're trying to prepare the information for court. Okay, to transfer a position from one department to another, it doesn't happen a lot, but occasionally an employee will be transferred either from the general fund to special revenue or from the special revenue to a general fund, or to the general fund. Occasionally a position might be moved from, let's say, inland parks or coastal parks over to buildings, maintenance, and repair. And anytime that you're requesting a transfer in the department where the position is moving to, you want to show the position as a positive, the pay schedule, the group, and the step, the title. But after the title, in parentheses, you want to type transferred from and then put the department number. Same thing goes for the position that you're reducing. You want to go, but opposite. So on the department that's losing the position, it would be a -1. You would show pay schedule A, group 15, step 1, senior clerk 2, and then you would put transfer to Department 1234 so that they know it's coming from Department 9999 and it's going to Department 1234. Justifications, just like the description is important, the justification for a personnel request is extremely important. Please use the space provided to justify why this position needs to be reclassified, why you need this new position, why you need to delete this position and add a different position. If you have an extremely lengthy justification, because the justifications have gotten pretty long lately that some departments are submitting, like multiple pages, we can't use that data field box for those lengthy justifications. If you have a very lengthy justification, please enter the justification as in a Word document, type it up in a Word document, and attach that Word document in OpenGov to the request. Also include that justification in the email to budget@nuecesco.com so that it's submitted at the same time that the request is submitted. Attaching it in one solution, or in OpenGov, excuse me, attaching it in OpenGov does not mean that you do not need to email budget@nuecesco.com. That's the way that it's officially submitted. The personnel request is not officially submitted if it is not emailed to budget@nuecesco.com. And if it gets sent someplace else or attached someplace else and it's not included in the workshop budget book, it could easily get overlooked. I don't want your request to get overlooked. So please email it to budget@nuecesco.com. Does anybody have any questions? I see no hands. I can't hear anybody if you're speaking. Okay, so important information. Your budget is due no later than Friday, May 6th. This due date is 1 week later than it has been in the past. Previously, like 3 years ago, you had 2 weeks to do it, but because Easter was in that 2 weeks, we bumped it back to 3 weeks. It is now 4 weeks that you have to prepare your budget request. We're halfway through that request process, so hopefully you've already logged in and started looking at what you're needing. Please, it has to be in no later than Friday, May 6th. Please email your personnel requests to budget@nuecesco.com by the same due date. There will be no extensions. There is no exception, because if you remember from the previous slide at the beginning, the department workshops are June 6th, 7th, then 9th, and 10th. So if we don't have your request by May 6th, there's no way that we'll be able to have everything ready for Commissioners Court for their first workshop on June 6th. If you have any questions on how to use OpenGov, please contact Terry Horak or Julia Mendoza. If you have any questions about budget or personnel, please contact me, Lisa Davis. Okay, so I'm going to go. I think that the PDF is pretty self-explanatory. I can go through it really quick if y'all would like. For the personnel request, I would key my department, 1250, County Auditor. I would come down to the bottom, put my name, Lisa Davis, on behalf of Dale Ashley. I'm going to request a budget assistant because it's just me. The budget assistant was, if you remember from the previous one, it's on pay schedule A. It was pay group 25. I'm going to use the drop-down box to get to 25. And I think you could also just tab and get there and key whatever it is. Yep, you can. All new positions are requested at a 1. Okay. 1. No, not 11. 1. What are you doing to me? There it is. 1. Okay, so we're requesting a budget assistant. And look, as soon as I keyed the 2501, it already knew that the annual salary was $48,048. And look, at the bottom, it knows that our estimated benefits percentage right now for your FICA, Medicare, retirement, and unemployment for a new position is 20.12%, and therefore it's automatically calculated the known expenses for said new employee for $9,739.33 for a total cost of that new employee to $57,787.33. We do not know what insurances that new employee will request, and so therefore we do not include those in the calculation. I'm going to put my justification, the level of work has more than doubled. And current staff requires additional assistance. Now, that's a minimum kind of, oh gosh, these darn lights. That's a minimum request. I would personally give way more information than this. I can give you examples. It can be extremely helpful to do salary analysis. I can give you an example of the salary analysis. So what you can do is you can contact other county governments that are geographically located near us, that are of a similar size as us, or located geographically near, or geographically in the same region as us. So you find another county that's similar in population size or similar in geography size, or potentially both. Do two counties that are above us, 2 counties that are below us, and maybe 3 counties that are near us, right? And so you're going to get an analysis and see how many people that are on their budget staff, how much they pay those people, and you're going to do an analysis and say, okay, look, here are the average for the people that are, the counties that are the same size of us, they have a staff of 6 people. We currently have a staff of 1 person. We're requesting an additional 3 people to help keep up with the workload. And you can say in their pay scale, or they currently make X number of dollars. Our staff currently makes this number of dollars. Therefore, we're requesting that the position be reclassified to this amount. You want to give some kind of analysis that justifies your requested increase. Your justification can be that it is underpaid for the type of work that's being done. Your justification could be the workload, the amount of work that this person is expected to do. Your justification could be any number of things that would potentially justify a reclassification. Law enforcement is part of the collective bargaining agreement. You cannot request a reclassification for them if they are in the collective bargaining agreement, if they are members of the collective bargaining unit. That will go back up for renegotiation next year. But this year, it's already set what the collective, what the salary will be for the 22-23 year. But you can request a new position for law enforcement. Okay. If I wanted to reclassify the budget assistant, I would make that a -1, add a +1. Notice how it automatically went negative. I'm going to make them A. 26. I said 26. No, not 60. Ooh, that would be nice. Okay, I'm struggling here. 26. And it's going to automatically populate the old positions cost, the new positions cost. The difference is $290 the difference of those two, it hasn't updated. So I need to come up here to this corner because it didn't update yet. Oh, hit recalculate. I don't know why it didn't recalculate. It should have recalculated. Recalculate, because that's the benefit. But here's your total cost. It's the regular amount should be right there. Maybe whenever I save, it'll work. But it has the total additional cost for that reclassified request. Does anybody have any questions? If I was transferring it to another department, I would show this one as the transfer to, because I already know where it's coming from. Transfer to 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in department 1, 2, 3, 4, it would say budget assistant transferred from 1250. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any hands. Anybody? Okay, back over here to my slideshow. I think I had, okay, so this is an example that I used last year. I got permission last year. I didn't get permission this year, but I had permission from everybody last year, so we're just going to assume that permission's still good. So my example that I gave last year was the Nueces County Sheriff's Department. Because at the time, and still now, it was a big hot topic. And so that example, the issues were inmate population, jail overcrowding, the inmates were damaging the facility, which was causing an increase in buildings and maintenance and buildings and facilities, maintenance and repair. Whenever they damage the facility, those areas, because of the Jail Standards Board, cannot be used until the damage is replaced in order to for inmate safety. The jail population had already begun exceeding the capacity, and so we had already started housing inmates in other counties to be able to stay within the legal limits of our jail capacity. So what in the example, to help alleviate this information, I wanted to gather data to review what repairs are reoccurring, what items are being damaged the most by inmates. I also happen to approve every requisition in the county, so I happen to know that they were damaging call boxes, toilets, frequently. And so those were the two things that I had come up with. And so, but that was just a guess. I would recommend that the department actually look to see what repairs they've had to make due to inmate damage and what the cost of those repairs are. You might need to request additional funding to hire a consultant to help find new and innovative equipment that is designed specifically to address the needs of a sheriff's office that's experiencing the same type of damage. We cannot be the first jail in the world where inmates are frequently destroying our buildings. There's no way that we're the only jail that has this issue. And if we're not the only jail that has this issue, and knowing that the issue is jail overcrowding is an issue a lot of places, I would think that somewhere someone has created a product that is able to be more resistant to damage from inmates. So you would want to hire a consultant to see if you could find that equipment that's out there or available that would be able to help reduce the number of repairs necessary due to inmate damage. I would then come up with an implementation plan. So if you go to commission, and this has been, yesterday was my 14th year with the county, and I've been doing budgets for, let's say, about 11 years. Every commissioner's court is different, but there's some things that, regardless of who's on the court, remain the same. And they love implementation plans. They just love it. Whenever you say, I have this problem and it's going to cost this amount of dollars, let's say that it was going to cost you, I don't know, let's come up with a great big number, $20 million. That's a lot of money to be able to spend. And there's no way that they could ever hope, 20 million might be a little excessive, but there's no way that they could ever hope to have $20 million just for maintenance and repair in one budget year. That's not going to happen. But if you were to come up with an implementation plan so that you're slowly requesting the increase in funds that will hopefully be offset in theory by the decrease of maintenance and repair, they're more likely to get on board. I've never seen it happen with 20 million. 20 million is probably too much. But if you had, let's say, a $5 million plan, that's still a big number. So why don't, instead of you asking for $5 million all at once, what if you were to ask for $750,000 this first year, then you were to ask for $500,000 the next year, then $750,000 the next year, then $1 million the next year, to where over a 6-year period, you get to the $5 million that you need, but it's not all at once. It's staggered out over multiple years so that it doesn't impact the budget so much in one year. Because it's really hard whenever you have every department coming at you and they all have needs and they all are legitimate needs, but you only have a finite amount of money. It's very hard to tell everyone no just so you can give this one department a large sum of money. It's much easier if you're able to do an implementation plan so that it comes in smaller amounts throughout a multi-year period. So I would recommend that you do an implementation plan. In that implementation plan, you're going to say, okay, $750,000 is, oh gosh, I can't think of the percentage. I want to say that that's like, it's not 10%. 500,000 would be 1%. No. Okay, let's do 1 million the first year because I know that that's 20%. There we go. If we did 1 million the first year, that's 20%. And so you should theoretically, as the new equipment gets installed, your maintenance and repair budget should theoretically go down. And if the inmates aren't damaging the equipment and it has the desired effect, your maintenance and repair budget will stay low long after the implementation plan happens. And so you can, in your implementation plan, show okay, if we replaced 20% of call boxes this year at a cost of $1 million, next year there would only be 80% of the call boxes that would still be getting damaged by the inmates. And so keeping the same percentage of damage the same, you'd have to think that your costs are going to go down by a proportional amount also. And then you would keep that projection going forward. So after you've already implemented all of the years and the entire jail has been retrofitted with these miraculous new call boxes that can't be damaged, then you have to project how long it would take for you to recoup the cost of the additional call boxes. Now, you've got to remember that it's going to be the variance between the call boxes. So you know you're already going to have X number of call boxes that are getting replaced due to damage anyway. And so those that are getting damaged or that are going to need to be replaced due to damage anyway, the additional cost is your only true cost for the year. So you take the old price minus the new price minus the old price gives you your variance. That variance is how much the cost is per unit each year, or per unit installed, and you could install just the ones that are damaged, and that again would lower down your cost for an implementation plan. So again, the implementation plan would create a multi-year implementation plan. You could hire the consultant and request funding for unknown but anticipated costs. It's not required anymore, but they would love for you to monitor your success and to keep track of the implementation plan. Are you on track? Are you behind? How is it coming along? You want to track your performance measures. At year 2 into the 6-year implementation plan, what are the results? If you're not seeing the desired results, why aren't you seeing the desired results? Is it because you're behind on implementing them? I mean, that's not necessarily the plan's fault. Or is it because the inmates have found a new way to destroy the new call boxes? Because if you found out that it's not working, you wouldn't want to continue to replace something that you know isn't going to be a long-term solution. So tracking it would help ensure that the court is getting the best bang for their buck, and of course, they're all about that. Does anybody have any questions? I still see nothing. Can't believe nobody has any questions. Y'all are just super smart. Okay, assuming that there's no questions, I want to thank you for coming to this extremely long training. I'm sorry that it did wind up being the full hour and a half. It's actually a little bit extra. But we did start like 5 minutes late, so I'm going to give myself that window. I'm sorry that it was so long, and I'm sorry that there's so much information, but the good news is that this is available. It'll be available as a recording on Monday, so you'll be able to come back and you'll know about where I talked about it during the presentation, and so you can just jump to that part and re-listen to it. You'll also have the slides available, and then I'm going to have the frequently requested items list. That's all going to get emailed out to you with the link on Monday. If you need the slides earlier, I'd be more than happy to give them to you earlier. Completely different topic. I know several departments are waiting on me to approve requisitions, and I'm getting to them immediately upon leaving this training. I want to thank you again for your time, and I wish you all the best. Next week and the beginning of the following week, I will be doing meetings with departments. If you have a question that is department specific, or you need extra assistance on something that I did not discuss, please feel free to give me a call. We can schedule something. I could discuss it with you by phone. I can meet you virtually, or we can meet face to face. And I'm more than happy to meet with you to go over that, or look at your request before you hit that submit button, but you have to call and schedule something with me in order for me to do that. I won't have time to look it over before it goes to Commissioner's Court. I heard somebody say that they had a question. Hello? I heard you. Does someone have a question? Okay, if nobody has any questions, then I'm going to go ahead and end the screen. Yes, did you have a question? Is that somebody saying hello, or is that just a beep?
That's people getting off.
Okay. Oh, okay. I keep hearing hello and it's a beep. Okay. All right. I want to thank you all for coming. I appreciate your time. I hope you found this useful and beneficial. Thank you again. Have a great weekend. Happy budget.